I just sat here and I'm pulling cards because I just listened to an astrologer talk about Neptune in his last degree of Pisces, and this next month literally being like the bridge crossing over to Aries, right? Aries is a fire sign. I'm a Leo. I'm in the middle. I'm not quite the Aries. And we're currently in Sagittarius season, interestingly enough. But, I'm hearing this is where the ember sparked, right? Where the light, that was flickering and glimmering is starting to flicker again, right? In anticipation of a whoosh, right? That the whole flame, I just saw like I wanted to say an oven, but then I heard a cauldron, right? When the whole fire lights up under it and begins to bubble over that gumbo, right? Now I'm seeing Princess and the Frog. Um, and yeah, that sweet and juicy gumbo I just heard. Interesting. Sweet and spicy, right? Tangy, right? It can be both sweet and tangy at the same time. Gumbo, right? It's like now I'm hearing jambalaya, right? It's like this mixture of all things good, warm and soulful. That both soothe, comfort, but ignite, right? And inspire. And the guy asked, suggested that one ask ourselves during this period, what am I willing to fight for? And when I stood in the mirror and I asked myself that question, the first thing that came to mind was me. I'm willing to fight for me. And when I just sat here after writing in my grimoire and putting in my manifestation, I begin to pull cards and I heard, I am willing to fight for me for the first time in eternity. And I'm like, wait a minute, Spirit, you saying I've been eternity? I haven't. And it was like, no, willing to fight for me for what feels like the first time in eternity. And then I said another line and then I decided to record and I forgot it. But the first card to fall is the garden. That's what it's called. And I'm just hearing now the Garden of Eden. But it's not the Garden of Eden. It's a beautiful woman standing, looking very healthy, very elegant, very regal, very poised. In a cute tank top with a nice little pleated skirt, midriff, holding a watering can, watering her bed of flowers or herbs, or it looks like flowers, in front of a beautiful big home with a small picket fence. The little small picket fence that goes around just like those little flower bushes. And she looks happy. Her hair is like a mane. I'm a Leo, so it's like afroed out, very free, wild and free, but looks so sexy. She has what seems to be like pearls around her neck, right? So and her sandals are like little wedged, right? Low heel, like you don't necessarily associate her outfit with gardening, right? Necessarily. And then the house in and of itself, reminds me of the house on one of my movies, the houses that I love in the movies, The Notebook. But the focus is not the house. The focus in the front view, although we see that's the background with the lush bushes and roses and things in the background, is the watering can, her poised body slightly tilted over, her one hand kind of in front of her waistline, not kind of in front of her waist, almost adjusting. I'm hearing aprieta, right? That means tighten up, suck it in, right? But not for vain reasons, but for I heard muscle plasticity, but for the tightening of the muscle of the diaphragm of the core, for back strength. So there's an emphasis of knowing that and being conscious of that, but at the same time with the left hand, right hand extending over the watering can, holding the watering can to water the bed of flowers, giving life and nourishment, right? Water does that, right? It sustains, it gives, yeah, I'm hearing it's the sustenance of life, right? I'm hearing water and sunlight. And definitely for this organism, we're talking about this living organism, right? These flowers. But the concentration or the main focal point when you look at the card seems to be her action of watering this garden in the front part of the house, which is this little bed of garden with a partial view of this white little picket fence in front of it. But there's this sense of joy, of ease, of freedom, of what am I willing to fight for? Me, for the first time, what feels like eternity. What me? The me that just wants to be, that wants to be authentically free. And then the garden is a major arcana, and it's the 21, right? I'm here in the new world, right? The world card, the next level. Talk about bridging, right? Talking about moving from Pisces to Aries, right? Although in Aries you would think, right, fire, right? And I talked a lot about this spark, this emblem, but it's so, it's almost like seeing the end at the beginning. I'm hearing it's a mirrored effect. Like the end is, you end up in this garden in front of this beautiful house. For those of you who, it's not this exact thing for everybody, but whatever that house could represent for you, whatever this posture she's holding represents for you, is definitely of ease and of joy, whatever that would represent for you. But I think it's very poignant that it is representing for me exactly what I would envision, and what I desire, what I'm willing to fight for is this home that feels like home, this freedom of, I don't have on like a necessarily corporate work outfit. I'm not rushing off anywhere. I seem to be very calm and poised and very fit and healthy looking. So the skin is glowing, the muscle tone is defined, the bouginess of how I like to dress and still be cute in all occasions, even gardening. So this, is an epitome. It really for me embodies all that I am willing to fight for it, that I desire. Not just the outwardly stuff aesthetically, because I'm talking about what seems to be, when I look at her and her actions, is a regulated nervous system, right? A woman who is standing in her power in more ways than one, right? Because the fact that my body would be looking toned and I look healthy in my skin, that means that I am working internally on things that then are exuding outwardly, externally, right? So it's not all about this outward aesthetic, right? The watering can, watering the flowers, is not that, the house is just sitting there with the flowers and I'm standing in front of it. No, I'm actively cultivating and nurturing and culturing, the environment that I am seeking within and without, I'm hearing, right? For myself individually, and then what I want to surround myself with. And it's so poignant that the garden represents, right? A whole new world. I wanted to say a whole new world, right? And then it says a new fantastic point of view, right? And think of the irony and the simplicity and the beauty of the simplicity of it all. The only action she's actually performing here is watering some flowers. So she's not an astronaut in space exploring. She's not in front of a lab with a beacon, a chemistry lab with a beacon pouring chemical, alchemist. She's not the magician. She's not the alchemist. She's just being, right? And appreciating what some would be the simple things of life, like flowers and the watering of them and the cultivating of them. That is so beautiful. That gives me such rest, I heard. And I don't know if I have to pull another card. Maybe that's just it. Because when I asked my ancestors, this is my ancestral deck. When I asked, well, if I'm fighting for me, what about me? And this is the card that came out. The next level for you, a world that you're, because what am I willing to fight for? A world that you create where you're safe, where you're secure, where you're in your body, where you're in the present moment, where you're at ease, right? Where your nervous system is regulated, where you feel intrinsically and externally beautiful, gorgeous, regal in your confident power and strength, but a soft strength, right? It's not a whole lot of muscles on her. She's not lifting any weights, here, been there, done that. She's just being. She just is. And then I just heard, I am that I am, right? And in my book, I wrote, am I dash I am. Because that was the question. What am I dash I am fighting for, willing to fight for? Me. And now I'm hearing throughout eternity, right? Forever and ever and ever. Now I'm hearing a couple of forevers, right? And I messed it all up, that tone, whatever. But that's that song by that baby, I love you so much, right? She says, I want a couple of forevers, right? But I'm saying I want a couple of forevers with me, right? And that's it. I think that's the message. I think that's the word. See, look at the bottom of the deck. Yes, 6 of cups, 6 of knives, excuse me. Oh, but I think that's so poignant that Freudian slip came out, right? 6 of cups. I wanted to say past life, but what I wanted to say past childhood, but then it came out just now, another Freudian slip, past life. I wanted to say nostalgia, right, for the past. Childhood, again. Oh, I don't miss it, Marilyn. 6 of cups, past life. Yeah, childhood essence. Oh, there was something. It's in my spirit. I apologize. I don't mean to flounder around this, I'm hearing. But there was something with that Freudian slip, 6 of cups, and it was just on the tip of my tongue. It's usually nostalgia, childhood memories, past lives, childhood innocence. So there's a bittersweet of recapturing that. While simultaneously letting go of some of that. Nevertheless, the card that came out was 6 of knives, which would be 6 of swords. And there's an individual on a boat rowing, right? Moving to calmer waters, confirmation, right? And now it's interesting because in this ancestral deck, the person is on the boat by themselves. Usually in the Rider-Waite Smith, we see another person, and then we see the person with a child. Maybe that's why the 6 of Cups Freudian slip too, right? And that one is the child with and in this one, this person is by himself. But I'm hearing is because this person is representing also their inner child. You and your inner child aligning, right? Because I'm hearing when you're willing to fight for you, that's the I don't know why I wanted to say perfect enmeshment. I don't know why I think enmeshment is usually defined as negative, but it's wholeness, it's integration, right? It's I don't know, because it sounds contradictory for me to say severing the separation, right? That would be redundant, and no, to sever means to separate. But it's ending the separation between you and your childhood self, if you believe in that, right? That little boy or little girl, or both, right? If we're not gender specific and we believe we both carry these masculine and feminine qualities and energies or attributes, whatever, I don't know. But, I'm hearing that childhood innocence that was once lost and was severed and became fragmented. Now you're together on this boat because you're willing to fight for you to go to the next level with it, right? And then I'm like, well, what's the absence of the person? There's usually a person on the boat. It's usually a female and her child. And then again, there's no separation, right? The child, the masculine and the feminine, right? All of you have now been infused as one, as you always have been. But due to, I'm just going to say lifing, it became fragmented, right? Became distorted. But no, it's back to one, right? There's this oneness about it. Wholeness, this integration. So technically, I'm hearing with my neck, popping or whatever the way, that person that is rowing the boat is there. That which is usually depicted as a male, that masculine energy, right? taking the action and the energy to move the boat forward. The feminine that is sitting, being receptive, right, and allowing the masculine to row them to calmer waters. And then the child that's gently leaning in onto the mother and being nurtured and held as they're going into this new adventure, right? So although I understand I'm going into calmer waters, it's still unknown waters. So that inner child still leans in and hugs into mom, and mom and the feminine wraps the arm around it to say, it's okay, I got you. And so in this card is all enveloped, all wrapped up into one. Oh, hallelujah. Alhamdulillah. This is so beautiful. MashaAllah. And then now I'm hearing the representation of the boat on the water, right? So it's not submerged into the water. So it's not drowning in the emotions. They're riding them out. I'm hearing like Bruce Lee flow like water. It's allowing for a flow, but the oar is still in the water halfway too. So there's this balancing, right, that is being done. So I'm connected to my emotions, but they're not overwhelming me, right? And there's this combination of my emotions and my logic, right? The part of me that's on sitting in the boat, logically looking to where I'm going, having a sense of direction, but also connecting with the inner emotional part of me as I'm placing the oar in the water and using it, not against it, but with it, flowing with it. I'm not repressing. I'm not fighting. Right? So the irony of what am I willing to fight for? The fight is different. This fight is different. Very much so like her in the garden. She's not fighting for anything. She's not excessively working at anything, right? There is this sense of ease and joy and flow. This just is. This just allow, just be. It's beautiful. I just heard that from Richard Parker from what's that movie? Richard Parker is the tiger in the movie oh God, where is oh God, what is that movie? But it's poignant that it's talking about the movie with the tiger, Richard Parker, because he does that the author of that book did that so well. One, the young man was believed in Christianity and Islam, and in was in Buddhism. It was I forget what the other form would be identified as, but Shaktiism, Shava, Ganesh. Anyway, and then at the end, a question, was Richard Parker and the monkey and the other people on the boat with him, were they actually other people like the cook and things like that, or were they these animals, right? It lets you interpret it. It lets you decide. Oh, that's so beautiful. Which adds to the peace that you're feeling, the joy, right? Because I'm decided I'm no longer being dictated or dictating to myself what the outer culture or society or the authoritative powers that quote the be, mandate or regulate that for me. I am the author and finisher. I'm the captain of my ship. I save myself. And then I just saw the other 5 swords. Well, all 6 of them are on the board, on the ship with him, on the boat with him. Swords being communication, messages, lessons, understandings. He didn't throw them away. He's taking them with him. All 6 of them.